And a leper came to him, begging him, and kneeling before him, and saying to him, If you are willing, you can cleanse me. And moved with pity, stretching out his hand, he touched him, and says to him, I am willing, be cleansed. And immediately the leprosy went out from him, and he was cleansed. And having sternly warned him, immediately he sent him away, and says to him, See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded as a testimony to them. And going out, he began to proclaim much and to spread the word, so that Jesus could no longer openly enter into a town, but stayed outside in desert places. And they were coming to him from all around. Good morning. Welcome to a short biblical reflection on the Gospel from the Gospel according to Mark chapter 1 verses 40 up to 45. The story of the cleansing of a leper, the Gospel reading for the sixth Sunday in Ordinary Time, year B. The translation is a little bit more literal as usual in order to show some play on words. Mark is writing in a short way, however, he includes a couple of verses in one sentence just describing various actions performed. For example, in verse 40, and a leper came to him, begging him and kneeling before him and saying to him. And also verse 41 concerning Jesus, and moved with pity, stretching out his hand, he touched him and says to him. I put in bold those verses which refer to the actions performed by both Jesus and the leper, in which they break the rules concerning the way how to become, how to behave with leprosy. Because this leper came to him so close and knelt in before him that Jesus could just stretch out his hand and touch him. Then in request and a response, they are used the same verbs. If you are willing, you can cleanse me. I'm willing, be cleansed. Then in verse 42, I translate also more literal the verb that the leprosy went out from him and he was cleansed, because the same verb is used later on verse 45, that this leper being healed now, going out, he began to proclaim much. So as he was bound by the leprosy like enslaved, now he's made free, and therefore he can also leave the place, the boundaries, and go out and to proclaim the gospel. While in verse 43, I highlighted in blue, Jesus ordered him not to say to anyone, but to show himself to a priest in order as a testimony to them. It means to the priest, other priests, and all those who will witness his cleansing. But this person goes beyond this commandment. We do not know if he observed it, but he goes and proclaims much and spreads the word. Those also expressions are translated more literally, to proclaim much and to spread the word, because this is now the synonymous expression which is quite often translated differently. And then consequently, Jesus was staying outside in desert places. About the leper, we do not have any reference where he was, but knowing the rules, prescriptions concerning leprosy, he had to live outside of places where people were living. So, and knowing biblical geography, it was generally a deserted place. Let us see now the biblical context. This miracle could be just fulfillment what we read in the Old Testament, in particular, for example, the story of the healing of Naaman in the second book of Kings, chapter 5. Naaman, who was commander of the army of the king of Aram, he suffered from leprosy, and then getting news from a young Israelite girl, if only my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. So king sends him with a letter to the king of Israel. And once the king of Israel read the letter, we hear the reaction, am I a God to give death or life? that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Because this is the general belief in the Old Testament that only from leprosy the person can be healed by God. Various prescriptions concerning leprosy, how to recognize it and what to do, how to deal with it, we find in the book of Leviticus chapter 13. I just quote verses 45 and 46. The person who has the leprous disease shall wear torn clothing and disordered hair, and he shall cover his upper lip and cry out, unclean, unclean. He shall remain unclean as long as he has the disease. He is unclean. He shall live alone. His dwelling shall be outside the camp. So we see clearly that this person should be distant of all other people and even make visible signs and even crying that he is unclean in order that accidentally he would be not approached by others. But concerning purification, it means recognition of the person that was leprous and was cured. Then that person, according to the prescriptions in the following chapter, the book of Leviticus chapter 14, had to perform some rituals, had to go be brought to the priest, but the priest shall go outside of the camp, and the priest should examine that person. Once the person will be examined as healed, then the offering should be done. So the person could still not enter any temple, any camp, but the priest should go outside. It means the place from the distance where he was, and then examine him to identify his healing. If we would read this Sunday Gospel with the preceding one, so beginning from verse 29, we'll find also some similarities and relations. Firstly, that the same verb translated as casting out demons in verse 44 is used also for this person, but here I translated he sent him away. We could be also translated that after warning him immediately, he cast him away. Like those demons were cast, but of course this is now in a positive way, as forcing him to go and to move on. Then in the preceding gospel passage of the gospel, Jesus would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. Jesus didn't want that testimony of the negative witnesses, and he also warns this person that he should say nothing to anyone. But then, as in preceding gospel, Jesus was explaining to the disciples that to go elsewhere to neighboring villages, that he came for that purpose to proclaim the gospel. Now this healed person who was leprous now began to proclaim much and to spread the word. So that person is taking the action of Jesus. And as in preceding gospel, Jesus went away into a desert place. Now also Jesus stayed outside in desert places. Because of this, the dead person took over the mission of Jesus, of the proclamation of the gospel. From that perspective, now also we could say that this person, before all other disciples, is already acting as an apostle, because the apostles in the gospel according to Mark will be just chosen in chapter 3. So we notice in this gospel that both this leper and Jesus did not observe the rules prescriptions concerning leprosy. Similarly, this leper did not obey Jesus to keep silent, but he was proclaiming much, spreading the word of what happened. And in the same gospel later on, because we are now at the end of the chapter 1, at the end of chapter 2, when there is one of the controversies concerning Sabbath day, Jesus is insisting that man was not created for the law, but the law for the man to help him. And in chapter 3, when he's healing of a person with a dried hand, Jesus is posing the question, was it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to evil, to save life or to lose it? Jesus is showing that to approach the law, there is necessary also not only to read the letter of the law, but the spirit. And this story also can be interpreted in this way. And then this reversal, which already I stated, at the beginning of this chapter 1, of the beginning of Jesus' mission, Jesus is the one who is proclaiming the gospel. Now, this action is taken by the person who received such a grace. I would like to wish you a nice day, a nice reflection on this gospel reading. God bless you.